Hey everyone, so today I'm going to talk about Rugrats Go Wild. It's 10 years since I first watched it, so it's celebrating and giving a review, and this will be quite a casual review as it says in the video title. Normally, most reviews you watch are probably professional, but this is just a casual talk. I'll go through the plot and all, but I'll also do what most professional reviews don't do. We'll talk a bit about some of the very small details, like even some of the one very brief lines or some of the one very brief shots. A lot of people think this movie is bad and huge disappointment compared to the first Rugrats movies, but I actually disagree. It might not add me as heartwarming as the first two movies, but it probably doesn't have as much heart as the first two movies, but maybe it doesn't teach much. Maybe it doesn't have as much of an epic climax, like it doesn't like Spike sacrifices for the babies and Jack at the end of the first movie, or Chucky's running forward and shouting note and talking in front of adults for the first time, but even so, I think it's a very enjoyable, entertaining film. The best thing about it, I'd say, is compared to the first movies, is that finally, it wrote a movie where Susie actually has more than a few minutes of screen time, where she's actually involved in the main adventure. That's the one thing keeping me from loving the first movies, absolutely loving the first movies, how little Susie there is. I mean, in the first movie, I would have liked if she could have been involved in Angelica's storyline. Like, it's the three of them, Angelica, Susie, and Spike all went off to look for the babies together. Then we get some good argument scenes between Angelica and Susie. Like they'd argue where to go and what to do, and Susie would argue with Angelica that she's only concerned about Cynthia, even though they should be concerned about the babies. So I like that. But anyway, not here to talk about the first movie. I'm here to talk about Rugrats Go Wild. So, what's good about this movie is I like stories that gets people getting stranded on islands. I think they're good crack, especially because of the Simpsons episode Dad's Bus, which was always a favourite Simpsons episode of mine when I was younger. It probably helped me enjoy this film. But even so, there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of entertaining stuff about it. There's a lot of good lines, especially from the parents of the Rugrats. I mean, of the three movies, I think the parents are at their best in this one. There's a lot of classic movie references, like Angelica's I'm Queen of the World when this Hack music is playing, and reference to Gilligan's Island where Drew says to Stu, snap out of it, Gilligan's, and reference to Jaws where Chad says we're going to need a bigger boat. Anyway, as you know, I forgot to mention the most obvious thing. Of course, the most obvious thing about this movie that's crossover with Rugrats and the Wild Thornberrys. Some people have criticised this, saying Rugrats and Wild Thornberrys were too different to make a good crossover out of. And as much as I enjoyed this movie, I'd be lying if I said I didn't see that. But even so, this movie is a real guilty pleasure of mine. I enjoy it thoroughly. Sorry, I'm trying to think of what to say. Another upside to this movie is that all 8 of the Rugrats are present together. In the first movie, Kimmy wasn't around yet, and Susie had a little screen time. That Rugrats in Paris, whereas this time all 8 Rugrats are together, so that's great to have an adventure with all 8 Rugrats. Jackie gets separated from the others for a while, but she's still kind of shared the same adventure with them, and has some good songs like Angelica's Island Princess, especially would be my favourite, and It's a Jungle Out Here, which I sang for my group. I formed for my group. Very catchy song. And Big Bad Cat, which to me isn't as good as the other two songs, even though it kind of is most people's favourite song from this movie. But still, it's an okay song. It's a decent song. And of course, the thing everyone else knows about this movie, Bruce Willis' Spike. He's entertaining. Although again, he's not my favourite thing about this movie. I don't know what it is I love so much about this movie. I just think it's charming and simple. It doesn't have there's no big major plot to follow. It's just simple, fun adventure. Another good thing is I don't like Roads in Paris, which was almost entirely about Chucky. Even though Tommy is the main character of this it's, at the same time he does not hog all the screen time. The other characters all got plenty. The other characters all plenty to do. One complaint is that Kimmy doesn't really have much to do in this movie. The others all have something to do. Tommy with being the most curious and desperate to find Nigel Thornberry, and I like his good joke, constantly calling him Nigel Strawberry. Although I think it's a good joke. I think maybe it got old after a while. Maybe it would have been better if, rather than always calling him Nigel Strawberry, that like sometimes called him Nigel Strawberry, sometimes not Nigel Cranberry, sometimes Nigel Blackberry, sometimes Nigel Blueberry. I think that would have been a bit more funny, but still, it's a good joke. It's a good joke, and one downside is Kimmy doesn't really have a whole lot to do in this movie. It was all awesome. Sorry, I said it already. Sorry, apologies. Anyway, Tommy has his whole Nigel Thornberry thing going, and what Chucky has to do in this movie is he gets lost or runs into and has and confusion with Donnie. Well, not so much fun with Donnie, but conflict with Donnie. The first time copying each other while meeting at the river and then swapping clothes, and which is Chucky's annoyance. And it's quite funny when Chucky says, "I've been scared of lots of stuff before, but I've never been scared of me." That's a good line. And also quite funny when he says to Don Dime, thinks he's a reflection. That's not very nice. For now, I'm not going to make a funny face with you no more. And what Jack has to do with this movie is she goes off by herself and meets and bonds with Debbie. The two are great together in this movie. She's good and funny, and Debbie's quite funny in this movie as well. And Susie has her tagging along and has her video camera, has her camera on, constantly taking pictures, and so they'll have their subplot about conflict over whether she eat worms or not, because they've always both loved it, but now Lil's thinking they shouldn't do it, and cause it's not nice, but Phil still loves it too much to give it up and is upset with Lil. I would say it would have. I think at the end should have had Lil to say to Phil she was going to eat bugs again. So that's one thing would have changed about the ending. But still, it's good subplot, I think. Again, the point I made was Kimmy doesn't have that much to do in this movie, really. The others all have those things I said, but Kimmy doesn't have much, really. She just has a few lines. So it's a bit of a pity, but at least she's in it, at least her presence is enough. And the Thornberrys are all good in this movie. Again, Marianne doesn't have that much to do compared to the other Thornberrys. She just helps the parents at the end, but again, they're all very good. And Liza's, even though you might think Liza would have a bigger role being the main character of one of the two shows, she's quite good. She has a role where she and Spike and her companion Arwen have to stop serial killer Ad Leopard from finding the babies. That was a good way to bring the two shows together. And alright, very good. The Nigel Thornberry's good in this movie. He's loyal. He acts loyal once he gets out of his amnesia. I think he's 3 years old. He's very loyal and orders the babies and helps them get back out of the water to their parents. And the giant squid, I like that. I probably see a giant squid. I like that scene. It's pity he's totally took the squid with Susie's camera. Didn't work out, but at least it didn't upset Nigel. He was just glad to see the giant squid. And it's all very good. And I also like that argument Jack and Susie have having in the Vatasphere. It's quite entertaining. You know, Jackets are always entertaining, especially when they sing that song "Island Princess," describing which is a great portrayal of their relationship. You know, their rivalry and all. And the other song, the song that's jump out here is when Tommy and the rest, Susie and the babies are all going into the forest to look for Nigel Thornberry to help them get off the island. It's a good song too, quite catchy. And on top, sorry, and the parents are entertaining, as I said already. I mean, I'm sure it seems like the parents are all big dicks, really horrible dicks towards Stu, but sorry for the language, but at the same time, I can understand why they're so angry. I mean, Stu did just drag them out on a ship, even though he just clearly didn't have much experience, and it was because of him they ended up on the island. But still, I like what that went for Stu here. How he didn't mean any harm. He just wanted to have an adventure with his family and friends. That was sweet of him. And it's nice when the other Alice finally forgives him at the end. You know, after his attempts to build a radio and that. And the shipwreck scene, the storm scene is very good. It's one of the best scenes in the film. And the song has good soundtrack. Well, it's got other songs as well. Like the music, the background music is very good. Like when Jacka sings "The Morning After" from the Poisson Adventure, whatever it's called. And sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And she also sings "Dresses and shoes are the only things that I'll share." That's good as well. And so there's a good soundtrack and a lot of good jokes, like just lines, like a lot of good lines, especially with the ones that we're seeing in the trailer, like "We're stuck on an island that has no people on it, but we're here, Angelica. I mean, people who matter." And when did Chucky start talking backwards? And that's quite funny. And the imaginary scene at the beginning where Chucky says, "And feed him, Phil," and Phil goes, "I heard that." And in the rubber ducky joke Phil's quite funny in this film. And I also like when Jazz gives out to Stu, "This is supposed to be your honeymoon." I don't know why I would find that kind of funny as well. And so eventually, at the end, the two families all go on the luxury cruise together that the older Alice thought they were going on in the first place. Never really understood what exactly happened. I mean, Stu always found them doing that, taking them on their own cruise instead all along, and just pretending they were going on the Lipschitz cruise. Probably, I mean, don't know why nothing else was explained, so that must have been it. It's a good line as well. "We're missing Katie making shoes today. Betty's always funny. Love Betty." Alright, hope you enjoyed the review, and I'm so sorry about the pauses. They weren't very good for a YouTube reviewer, but this is only my second video, so not that experienced, but hope you enjoyed it anyway. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.